Warm San Francisco welcome to the next General President of our union, Brother Ron Carey.
And we hear the name Ron Carey, and we hear about folks that are out there talking about the problems. There's a general feeling that that's not supposed to be so. And that in this union, we don't have those kind of people that will be moving out, talking about the issues, trying to get our union back. I've been a Teamster for 34 years. My dad was a Teamster for 50 years. He retired out of UPS. My brother is a Teamster. He works at the good old guys and won that election. We started putting into place in Local 804 the kinds of things that are important, the things that mean things to people. For example, we introduced elections of all offices, no appointments. We introduced elections of shop stewards, and we think that's the way it should be in terms of people voting for the things that concern them. We introduced elections that are held in 3 geographic areas so that everyone would have an opportunity to get out there and to vote for the people that would lead their union. So, doing the right thing is what this election is all about. Fixing the things that are wrong is why Ron Carey is running. Since 1968, we have accomplished an awful lot. And as Paul pointed out, they're not the best things, but they certainly are among the top things. They were done through hard negotiating, through negotiating in the interest of members. Now, what are some of those things? We negotiated in 1968 a 25-year pension program. We negotiated in 1972 tax-deferred annuity programs. We negotiated in 1972 group legal programs. We negotiated grievance procedures with extended panels through the American Arbitration Association, where you had independent arbitrators who would decide the fate of those kinds of problems. These were the kind of things that we had been negotiating all along. The things that are important to our members. And during that period, we had some good organizing programs. We went out there and organized in the public service sector. We organized in eyeglass frame locations. We organized in warehouses. My local, and the local that I work for, is a local that has about 6,200 UPS people. And it has about 800 miscellaneous. That's the basic structure of my Teamster family. So we've done the job for our members. And we know what the important ingredients are. Let's talk about why I am here today, why I have been traveling in 28 states, and why I am running. I'm running because I'm angry. Very, very angry about the way our union has been run. I'm angry about the direction of our union. The fact that corruption has been something that's been swept under the carpet. And the fact that when corruption surfaces, nothing is done about it. I've read just recently and talked to folks that have been promoted and were under suspicion and were eventually indicted. I don't believe that's the way our union should be run. That's why I'm here today. That's why I am running. Because I'm disgusted by the things that have happened, by the fact that we're not out there organizing, by the fact that the kinds of legislation that have come down have prevented this great union from organizing. The fact that the government sits in our union. These are the things that have troubled me very much. Now, when you look around this country and you talk to a lot of good, hard-working union officials, and there are a lot of them, and there are a lot of them that just don't want to work at all. But these hard-working union officials share the same view that I do. They want a union that's working for them. They want a union that could be of assistance. One that's there to answer the kinds of questions that they need answers. One that has the seed money to help them do the kinds of organizing that we should be doing. That's not happening. Our international union, and what I'm here about, so make no mistake about it, is I am running for the international job. I'm not here to criticize union officials in this area. I am a traditional trade unionist. I'm concerned about the future of this union, concerned about the direction, concerned about the fact that in 1978 we had 2.2 million Teamsters. Today we have 1.4, 1.5. It doesn't take much of a mathematician to figure out that this election and the direction of this union is a question of survival. It's as plain as that. It's also a question of whether or not we are going to run this union or whether or not the government is. Now, we've heard all sorts of stories about the consent order. How it got there, there is no secret. They were invited in by our international officers. We were told by the international that we would not be affected by it. That they were only brought in to somehow save the local unions and save the local autonomy from all sorts of prodding by the government. That's simply not true. If you look at the testimony, it's clear. They were brought in and they were asked to come in because our leadership was trying to save their own skins. Now, they know that. I know that. And I believe the membership knows that. We are now saddled with the expenses of delegate elections, which is good. But the question I have is who should be paying for this? If they agreed to it, why not have the international pay for it? The corruption problem and all of the questions that surround it, and how does it affect our union? Corruption affects our organizing drives. It affects our relationships, our credibility with our members. I mean, that's absolutely clear. When you talk about corruption, is it always because someone has their hand in the cookie jar? Or could corruption be considered the kind of very persuasive union official that looked the other way, that gave out these kind of sweetheart arrangements? That's corruption as well. Corruption also comes about when the things that people are agreeing to in our union are tearing out the very foundation. For example, two-tier wage salaries. How do we tell the new breed that's coming in on the job that you're a part of this union? That we represent you the same way we represent everyone else? That's not true. We don't do that. How can we do that when one makes $16.76 and the other person makes $8.50 or $9? That's not true. The bottom line is we're missing the boat. The newer generation that's coming in, we're not representing their interests. The fact is, will there be a full-time job for new people coming in? I don't think so. We're talking about new concepts, temporary workers. Who's looking out for those problems? Who has a plan of action to try to prevent those kinds of things from being negotiated into our agreements? No one's at the steering wheel. They're asleep at the steering wheel. If you look at your agreements, that's what you will find. These kind of concessionary agreements. You look at the freight agreement, 64% of the board of directors, which is this membership, said, we don't want that contract.